The JVP and those associated with the party commemorated their founder day. The wife and children of the JVP's founder leader are often spoke of during the commemorative events. Wife of the late Rohana Vijayveera, Chitrangani Vijayveera, met the current president when he held the post of Minister of Fisheries in 1999. The president's media unit says that she had revealed the issues she had faced to the current president and he had taken measures to resolve these issues.
Former parliamentarian Reginald Pereira notes that a group that was not elected by the people's ballot are agreeing to do whatever the leader of the United National Party says so that they can protect their positions and parliamentary seats. The former MP is of the view that it is because such persons are taking decisions that the party is facing continuous defeats.
කුත්‍යාධිකාරී මණ්ඩලය දැන් නියෝජනය කරන්න. ජනතා පත්යෙන් ඡන්දෙන් පත් වෙච්ච බොහොම ටික දෙනෙක් ඇරෙන්නට.
Today, who represents the working committee? A small number that was appointed by the people's ballot are in it. Malik Samaravikrama did not receive votes. Tilak Marapana, Daya Palpola and Joseph Michael Pereira entered through the national list this time. They are the ones who are deciding that the leadership should be extended to 6 years. If he had at least done something to uplift the United National Party, we could have approved it. What qualification does he possess? Those who were not elected by the people's vote and are in the twilight years and want to remain in their parliamentary seats until the end are the ones trying to create this situation.
තීරීපත් වුණත් තවම දැන් අන්තිම ඒ වකවාණු කාල ගත කරන ඒ ඉන්නකන් තම മന്ത്രിකමයි රැඳෙන්න ඕනයි කියන බලාපොරොත්තුෙන් ඉන්න කොටසක් තමයි අද මේ තත්ත්වය ඇති කරන්න උත්සාහ කරන්නේ. මගේ පුද්ගලිකත්වයේ තුල අරින් මහත්මයා බොහොම කිට්ටුව මම ආශ්‍රය කරලා තියෙන පුද්ගලෙක් තරහක් නැහැ. නමුත් දේශපාලන වශයෙන්
I have associated Ranil Wickremesinghe very closely. I have no grudge with him. However, in the political sphere, Ranil Wickremesinghe is not worth 5 cents and is someone who helps this government to drag this country to despair. He is with us during the day and with the government at night. This is how we can describe him.
පුද්ගලික වශයෙන් තමයි මට මෙතුමා හඳුන්වලා දෙන්න පුළුවන්. මෙතුමාගේ ක්‍රියාකලාපය අනුව බලපුවම
ජාතිපක්ෂ නායකත්වයේ අපි අවුරුදු 18ක් මැතිවරණ 29ක් පෙරදිලත්.
Under the present leadership of the United National Party, we have lost 29 elections in the past 18 years. If the United National Party is to be taken forward, we who are at the grassroots level should also be invited. Another 6 or 12 years means that our children will also grow old. Without creating such a situation, we ask the leader to bring about a United National Party government where we can live with our heads held high. This is the request we make.
කෙලින් තියාගෙන ඉන්න පුළුවන් එක්සත් ජාතිපක්ෂය බිහි කරලා දෙන්න කියලා මම පිළිලා සිටිනවා.
Addressing a media briefing in Colombo today, Deputy Leader of the United National Party, Sajith Premadasa, says that the 2013 budget has gifted the country's resources to the super rich to lead a luxurious lifestyle.
මේ අයවැයි කිසිම සඳහනක් නැහැ. ආදායම් බදු නොගෙවන ආදායම් බදු බැලෙන් පැන යන මේ
This budget does not mention how taxes will be obtained from those who do not pay income tax and those who continue to evade it. It is not stated how these people will be brought into the tax net. By the 31st of December 2011, tax evasion was estimated at 94 billion rupees. That means 94,000 million rupees. Apart from this amount, there is also the fines that should be added, which is 45.5 billion rupees. This is the amount of tax that has not been paid. What is stated is how this government will obtain revenue through indirect taxes by hitting the stomach of the ordinary people.
සඳහන් වෙලා තිබෙන්නේ වක්‍ර බද්දෙන් කොහොමද මේ රටේ සාමාන්‍ය ජනතාවට බඩට පහර ගහලා හරි කොහොමද රජය බදු උපයා ගන්න.
UMP parliamentarian Ravi Karunanayake states that students should not kneel before politicians.
The parliamentarian made this comment at a conference that was held at St. John's College, Nugegoda for students sitting the GCE O-level examination. It is my fervent wish that you will be able to gather knowledge from this conference and be successful at the exam. I think politicians should be distanced from education as far as possible. I believe you can obtain better results by doing so. I have seen innocent students falling on their knees before politicians. I kindly request you all not to do that. You can do it to show respect to your parents and to the clergy. These politicians are neither your parents nor clergy.
මේ දේශපාලකයන් ඉදිරියට මේ වගේ දේවල් කරන්න එපා. ඔබේ දෙමව්පියන් ඉදිරියේ කරන්න පුළුවන්, ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ ඉදිරියේ කරන්න පුළුවන්. මේ දේශපාලකයෝ කියන්නේ දෙමව්පියෝ ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේත් නෙවෙයි.
The Best Corporate Citizen Awards 2012, organized by the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, was held in Colombo last night.
MTV Channels Private Limited was presented with a merit certificate in recognition of work done in the category of community development. Minister of Environment Ravi Karunanayake was the chief guest at this year's award ceremony.
As the Minister of Environment, I must say there is no better time than now to talk about the environment. Throughout the past couple of months, we saw the adverse impact of climate change. There is much that could be done to change these adverse results and to live in harmony with the environment and the nature. I believe this is where our role comes in as corporate citizens. This is what we call the peace approach: people, planet and profits. And all business should adopt an approach that increases the profit margins but also looks after the interests of the society and the environment.
Senior Minister for International Monetary Cooperation and Deputy Minister of Finance and Planning Dr. Sarath Amunugama says that serious attention must be paid to changing international demographics with regard to the aviation and travel industry. The minister made this statement at the 2012 IATA Global Aviation Human Capital Summit in Colombo today.
Senior Minister Dr. Sarath Amunugama was the chief guest at the summit organized by IATA, or the International Air Transport Association.
Now travel has changed. New developing countries, emerging countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, they are all emerging as important economic powerhouses. A large middle class is emerging there, and we have to look at the new profiles. I'm sure your economic experts who are here in the house will go into those to see the demographics of travel and aviation in the future. I think we'll have to pay more serious attention than we have done in the past to track or to plot these shifting patterns of travel if we are to fit it to the growth of aviation in our countries.
This building, which looks suitable for a home or guest house, has been constructed, according to the chairman of the Thirappane Pradeshiya Sabha, to be used as a vocational training centre. The chairman of the Thirappane Pradeshiya Sabha says that an agreement to this effect has also been signed by the secretary to the Pradeshiya Sabha and the Sri Lanka Vocational Training Authority. If such an agreement has indeed been signed, then the Pradeshiya Sabha has dabbled in powers that it does not possess. This plot of land, which lies close to a reservoir, occupies a 20-perch area. In 1991, the Thirappane Pradeshiya Sabha ceased maintaining a rest house located on this land belonging to the Ministry of Public Administration and Home Affairs. This was without any written agreement. Accordingly, the ownership rights of this land and the building which used to function as a rest house were not taken over from the Thirappane Divisional Secretary. 2 years ago, the Pradeshiya Sabha removed its office from this building, which used to be a rest house. While the Divisional Secretary of Thirappane failed to take over this land after the office was moved out, the rest house building located on the land was demolished, violating the procedures to be followed in the demolition of the building which belongs to the state. The Divisional Secretariat of Thirappane is unaware of this building, which was constructed on a new foundation to which it holds the ownership rights. Couldn't this ignorance lead to a state-owned land falling into the hands of private owners? Secretary to the Ministry of Public Administration and Home Affairs, this one is over to you.
Moving on to business news now, Executive Director of the Sri Lanka Institute of Policy Studies, Dr. Saman Kelegama, says that losses incurred by state institutions alone account for about 3% of GDP. He made this statement at a seminar organized by the Sri Lanka Economics Association on the 2013 budget in Colombo yesterday.
Speaking at the seminar, Dr. Saman Kelegama said that the large allocation of state revenue for state enterprises and the repayment of loans is a structural problem to be seen in the 2013 budget.
The real long-term aspect of budgetary management is addressing the structural problem of the budget. if you look at the expenditure side of the budget, if you take recurrent expenditure as 100, now out of that 32.7 is wages and salaries, interest payments is 53.4, and subsidies and transfers is 28.8, and the addition of all this is 88.9. So basically around 90% of the recurrent expenditure goes for 3 items. So this is not a very healthy situation in the context of sustainability.
Dr. Kelegama also commented on losses incurred by state enterprises.
If you look at the Sri Lanka Railway, Sri Lanka Transport Board, Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and Ceylon Electricity Board, in 2011, these losses were massive. These 4 losses alone are 2% of GDP. You add to that Sri Lankan Airlines, Mihin Lanka and few other loss-making enterprises, close to 3% of GDP. So this structural problem of the budget, which we discuss every year practically, needs to be fixed now.
And it's time now for the newspaper cartoon of the day.
Pipeline carrying fuel from the Colombo harbour to Colonnava ruptured several times. Pipeline used once again after repairs. The pipeline carrying fuel close to the Kalanitissa power plant also ruptures. 65 families residing in the danger zone evacuated based on a court order. 420 more families remain in the danger zone. Shouldn't measures be taken before a greater disaster claims lives?
Starting off your sports news this evening, the Times of India newspaper reported today that a test match between Sri Lanka and England was fixed. The newspaper made this revelation quoting a book written by a sports journalist.
The Times of India report states that the relevant book was compiled based on information received from bookies. The book claims that the test played between England and Sri Lanka at Cardiff in May 2011 was fixed. The Times of India newspaper, quoting the book written by the sports journalist, states that with rain wiping out the morning session of the 5th day of the test match between Sri Lanka and England in Cardiff in 2011, a draw seemed the only possible result. Quoting the book, Times of India states that England, replying to Sri Lanka's 400 all-out, declared at 496 for 5 and then bowled out Sri Lanka for 82 runs to pull off a near-miraculous victory by an innings and 14 runs. It also stated that then England captain Andrew Strauss had described the match as one of the most extraordinary matches he had played in. The Times of India report states that the book had mentioned that by the time the Sri Lankan players took to the field at Cardiff, they had not been paid for over 8 weeks. The Times of India quotes the author of the book as saying, "It does not take a cynical mind to come to the conclusion that a cricketer who has been treated with such little regard for his welfare might, just might be tempted by the offer of payment to throw a test."
Now, Sports First made inquiries regarding this newspaper report on match-fixing claims from the chairman of Sri Lanka Cricket, Upali Dharmadasa. The SLC chairman stated that he had not read the report. He said that if a written request is made along with the newspaper report, a response could be given. Vice President of the Sri Lanka Cricketers Association, Ken Dialvis, said a conclusion cannot be arrived at based on media reports alone. Dialvis said that the allegations being levelled have to be proved.
Well, that wraps up today's edition of Primetime News on MTV Sports. It was a pleasure having you with us. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
And I'm Shane Silva. Good night.
Good night.